What is it about music that really appeals to our memories? Stick around to find out. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome to Fridays Live.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another Fridays Live. My name is Rose and I will be your host today. Do let us know where you are tuning in from. I'm in North London today. It's been actually quite warm. I think summer is finally on the way. So do let us know where you are tuning in from today. I can see Shirley over on YouTube is having a lovely sunny day up in South Cambridgeshire. Hello to you, Shirley. We have Ellie today in the comments, so please do say hello. And as ever, it's a packed session. We've got new records this week, and we're going to be welcoming back to Fridays Live a returning guest. Our principal product manager Martin will be along shortly, talking about a new feature that is hitting Findmypast. So this is really exciting. Please do stick around. You really won't want to miss it. I promise. It's really good stuff. I'm really excited about this, and we've also got a sort of musical theme this week. So yeah, this is an interesting varied session for you today. So just looking at the comments, seeing who's joining. Oh, welcome everyone. Matthew, Andrea, Kim, Jean, Janet, Jenny, Karen, Victoria, hello Rose, always super punctual. That is me. I am a Virgo, so that punctuality is my jam. And we've got Heather. Hello everyone. It's so lovely to be with you again. So with our music theme this week, we have a question of the week that goes along with that musical theme. So our question of the week is, what songs or musical memories have been passed down in your family? The question is again, what songs or musical memories have been passed down in your family? And I'll just ask Ellie if she could pop that in the chat for you. So I said musical memories. So that could very literally be about a musical, or it could be about a song. It could be classical music. It could be pop music, and anything of the musical variety. But before we take a look at that, just going to dive into our new records of the week this week, and I'll get them up there for you. So we've got lots of brand new death records for you this week. So I thought to kind of lighten the mood a little, I would do a little musical theme as well. So we've got death, we've got music, you know. It's a bit of a mix, but I know as family historians we are always surrounded by death. We are sometimes a bit of a morbid bunch, and you'll know me, you'll know my my obsession with graveyards from a very young age. I mean, helped by the fact that I used to live right next door to a graveyard. So back to our new death records of the week. So these come from Wales, they come from Northern Ireland, and they come from Scotland. Actually really modern. So they go all the way up to this year, so 2024. And we have got one new newspaper of the week, but it's a good one. It's a good one, I promise. It's got a sporting theme. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the 44 titles that we've added new pages to this week. So our newspaper content team have been working so hard in the studio, scanning images, processing images. So this week alone, we have brought you over 400,000 brand new newspaper pages for you to share. And Ellie has very kindly shared the link to the blog, so you can check out all the new records of the week and also those new added newspapers. So just a little bit more on our new records this week. So these are all modern deaths, and they join those three different collections there. So England and Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. So for the England and Wales set, they are just Welsh records that have been added, and they cover the years. I mean, shout out to Wales. We love Wales. A bit of representation there from the years 2007 to 2024. So there are over 200,000 new Welsh death records added this week. So there's a considerable amount. For Northern Ireland, these death records span the years 1980. Again, up to 2024, and add up to just over 28,000 records in total. And finally, we've got Scotland. And Scotland has the most this week. It's the biggest update of the week. So we've added death records from 1980 to 2024, and these number nearly 500,000 in total. So a really big update there of those death records. The records are transcript only, but as you can see from this example, they are full of details. So you've got your birth date, you've got your death date, death place. You've even got the death postcode, not quite down to the exact postcode. I think it's missing two numbers or letters at the end there. Now, recent deaths can feel a little bit morbid, but I think I find them certainly very useful if I'm tracing a more distant line of my family, so I can really build a picture of who my living relatives are. And then my mum, who is on the older side of things, we actually find this really useful in tracing any friends that she thinks might have passed. You know, she's in her mid to late 70s now, so there is that use. Slightly morbid, but there we go. And just onto our new newspaper of the week, which is a sporting favourite, and it is the beloved Dundee sports paper, the Sporting Post. So this was published actually for most of the 20th century, and it was a Dundee staple. So it covered mainly football and the city's two teams, so Dundee and Dundee United. But other sports are covered too. So you've got cricket, racing, even ice hockey too. So really worth a browse if you are a sports fan. And again, 44 of our existing titles updated, and these updates, they span all the way from the 19th century right through to the 21st century, getting modern again. And they come from Scotland, they come from Northern Ireland, and they come from England. Right, let's get rid of that. And I can see some answers to our question of the week coming through. So let's have a look through. Yes. So, should we start with Ellie? Let's start with Ellie then. From the Ellie ages, I developed a love of the Carpenters, Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac, and the Beatles, amongst others, thanks to my musically inclined late father. He also taught me how to play the guitar. Ellie, I did not know that you could play the guitar, and that's wonderful. I think, and this is what we're going to be touching on. So I see you've got some 60s classics, some 70s classics there, and how music really transcends the generations. So really, really special memories. Thank you for sharing, Ellie. And Carpenters are a theme here. Karen. I was convinced for years I was named after Karen Carpenter. My mum was a big fan, could not be because of the timing. Yeah, I have a similar story that my mum thought she was naming me after a Rolling Stones song, Tokyo Rose, but Tokyo Rose is something completely different. It's actually a propaganda thing during World War II, so probably the less said about that, the better. Good intentions. And we've got Janet, Dad playing an LP of Sousa, am I saying that right? Marches loudly, and Mum would play an LP of the soundtrack from Oklahoma. Happy days. I love these memories. They're so precious. And I think because music does capture those times of celebration, those joyous times. And for me, I've got a lot of musical memories in long car rides. So my dad was a big ABBA fan. Yes, the vicar who loved ABBA is great. ABBA and Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. So we would listen to the music on car journeys. And Kimberly, I love this. We liked a lot of old music hall songs, such as When Father Papered the Parlour, The Man on the Flying Trapeze, Where Did You Get That Hat? Also a lot of risque and nonsense versions of nursery rhymes passed down. Oh, what a lot of fun. I can imagine that's a really fun household singing those tunes. And even better, if one has a piano too. I could just see like a good old knees up there. Yes, Rosie, my nan singing All the Little Pansy Faces, and my mum and I trying to sing Come Into the Garden Maud. And I think this is Come Into the Garden Maud is one that's been about in my family, and laughing hysterically at efforts to hit the high notes. Another happy memories there. and Victoria, Italian love songs influenced by my grandmother, also ABBA through the decades, starting with my parents, and car trips, yes, and still love ABBA, seeing ABBA Voyage next month. Have a great time, Victoria. I've heard it's amazing. I need to get myself along because I love ABBA. I love ABBA. ABBA is great. Bev over on YouTube. Whenever Spanish Eyes by Al Martin came on the radio, rush your mum to dance there. It's a lovely memory there. Thank you all for sharing. Ellie, I think I might be named after Eleanor Rigby. I mean, it's my favourite Beatles song. I love that. I think that's great. I mean, you couldn't be less like Eleanor Rigby in real life, but wonderful. And Gentilla here. My granny, the late Phoebe Smith, was a folk singer and made albums recorded for the BBC. So there's a musical talent among us as well. I'm just enjoying these so much. Although coming back on this one, I was extremely disappointed when the BBC did a programme on British folk singers. Not once was she mentioned. That is a shame. But hopefully we can trace some of her performances through our newspapers, maybe, and that we can sort of bring out her story that way. I'll just do a few more because I'm just too engrossed. Yes, yeah, as Annie's saying, there is something for everyone. Just one more. And Rita here. My mum introduced me to the Irish Rovers and Carole King. Many fond memories when I hear their songs. Oh, everyone, this is lovely. Right, so I think, yeah, we've really sort of built up a lot of nostalgia and some really lovely, happy memories. And I'm going to try and keep that up, right? Because I know I know sometimes I've been guilty of doing some quite depressing stories on here. So I just wanted a little joy, sprinkle a little joy this week. So thinking about this question myself, there's car trips, there's ABBA, but there's two women in my life who really influenced me musically. And just going back, the furthest is to my granny. So we've got my granny here. It's a lovely picture. I don't know how old she was, probably in her late teens, and I think you can see the resemblance. I'm getting my head the wrong way. Anyway, so she used to sing to me when I was little, and my grandparents used to look after me a lot. So she used to sing all the classics from when she was young. So she was born in the 20s. So she would sing me things like You Are My Sunshine, and Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz is one that I remember. And I remember this for a particular reason, right? So I've got to make a confession here. So when I was very little, I was about 3. So Granny had been singing me Over the Rainbow. And one evening I came rushing into my parents' house, and my sister, my older sister, had a pet bird that was kept in a cage. And I came running in to announce that the bird, who was called Archie, over the rainbow, Archie, fly away home. So what 3-year-old Rose had done had conflated the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, with the line where bluebirds fly, I fly over the rainbow, with my sister's pet bird, and I'd let my sister's pet bird go so it too could fly over the rainbow. So probably less said about Rose, the freedom fighter, the better. And yeah, we'll keep Rose the joy sprinkler. I really like that. Let's roll with that. So I was just really interested to sort of see how Over the Rainbow became sort of a cultural phenomenon. It was something that my granny was still singing to me some 50 years after it first came out. And looking through our newspapers, and this is just where our newspapers come in so useful. I mean, they're so useful in so many ways, but they can really help bring context to these core memories that we have. So looking through our newspapers, we can see Over the Rainbow, the song mentioned from 1940 onwards. So The Wizard of Oz comes out in America in 1939. So it takes a little while to get over the pond to here. So my granny would have been about 13 at this time. And we can also see, as well as it being performed by Judy Garland in with The Wizard of Oz. It was covered by iconic British singer Vera Lynn. So we can really see how popular this song was from the newspapers. But what I think is, it is just so wonderful that she carried this song with her for so many years. And when I hear it now, I always think of her. So I'm just going to introduce you to another lady in my life. This is my mum, and so her mum is over the rainbow granny. So this is my maternal line. So my mum was young, and she's still with us. And my mum was young in the 1960s, and she sent me over these photos to share. These are shared with her permission. So when I grew up, I had a lot of stories from her about the 1960s. And she had such a love of music from her time in the 60s. So we're talking the Kinks, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, that she really got me onto that sort of music when I was growing up. I mean, and there is just so many stories that she tells me, and you can kind of get a sense of her life from that picture on the left. There's quite a lot going on. They're in my grandparents' pub in Richmond. She's with an ex-boyfriend there. They're still in contact, so that's good. and on the right there, so this would have been about 1966. So she's about 15, 16, 17, and she's looking a little bit more presentable there, right? I promise you this is going somewhere. So one of her favourite stories that she likes to tell me is from when she was about 14 years old onwards, a little bit young, but there we go. She would sit at the feet of a band called the Yardbirds every single Friday night, right? So the Yardbirds were a band where the likes of Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck got their starts. So my mum would go down to this place called the Crawdaddy Club in Richmond, in West London. And what has been so amazing is to look up the Crawdaddy Club in our newspapers and find mentions of the Yardbirds playing there. My mum wasn't lying, of course, but I think to have her memories confirmed there in black and white is so special. And also for her to see, if I'd send these to her and be like, look, this is your sort of your youth. You're growing up here in the 60s, and it's recounted here. It's just so special. And there's even a phrase from the Rugby Advertiser from 1967, which actually echo her words of her being at the feet of the Yardbirds every Friday night. And this quote says, "It could have been the scene at the Crawdaddy Club, Richmond, 3 years ago." So that's when my mum was there, with fans at the feet of the Yardbirds, watching like vultures for every move made by the group. Watching like vultures. That's my mum. So it's so lovely to have these memories here, confirmed for posterity. And incidentally, the Crawdaddy Club was where the Rolling Stones played before they got big. And just found out a little bit more about it from an Irish newspaper, Island Saturday Night, from 1964. And it says how the Crawdaddy Club is under the grandstand at Richmond Athletic Ground. Right, so another interesting West London locale that my mum used to go to a lot was Eel Pie Island. So there's another story that she tells a lot. This is a good one. So she remembers being there and seeing Rod Stewart. So this was before Rod Stewart was famous. And she saw him. He was by himself, sat around, looking very sorry for himself. And she felt very sorry for him because she thought, and I quote, he'd never make it. So this was another sort of family law for me. I'll come back to Rod in a second, but I just wanted to take a little look at Eel Pie Island, first of all, because it's a strange name, isn't it? And looking into it, it has a fascinating history. So some tips for sort of looking up these kind of places in our newspaper collection. So searching these key words, and I wanted to start by looking at the 1960s when my mum was going there. So this is where adjusting your newspaper search by decade. So you can do this manually. You can click through to get to the 1960s, or you can use the advanced search form, or to select. It doesn't have to be a decade. It could be a year. It could be a day. It could be 6 months worth of time. So that's really useful in narrowing down those newspaper articles. So I found a great one. on the left-hand side there from the Sunday Mirror, and it's a feature called Far Out on Eel Pie Island from October 1963. So we've very much got that sort of swinging 60s feel, and it describes a dance floor made darker by odd blue and red lights. The young people gathered there for drinking and dancing, wearing outlandish clothes. So this fear of this new youth culture that was taking over Britain at the time. And then there's this piece from 1965 on the right, from the Middlesex Chronicle, which was a local paper to that area. And it recounts what it is really like on the island of Rhythm. And it asks whether it's full of wild music, rowdyism, drinking, and orgies. And they've got a picture there of a girl with a pint glass, and it says it's a common sight to see the girls cooling off from the hectic dances with a pint. Scandalous. So it gives a little bit more context about these events on Eel Pie Island. It talks about the jazz club that was there. There were events every Wednesday, Saturday and Sunday. People would pay 4p a time to go. And where they were heading to, they were going to this jazz club, which was in a barn next to a hotel on the island. But actually, the journalists found that Eel Pie Island wasn't as wild as its reputation might have suggested. Bit of a relief. It was filled with music lovers. So they again were entertained by the likes of the Rolling Stones. They had the fan fixtures of Long John Baldry, the Tridents, and the Alex Harvey Soul Band. So yeah, relief to know that my mum wasn't sort of up to too much of no good. But what about the history of Eel Pie Island? So here's a map from our 1921 census page. So, I just did a search in the keyword option on the advanced search page, Eel Pie Island, click through to the transcripts. And always remember when you're looking at the 1921 transcript, we do have these great resources, the maps. Scroll down and take a look. So this just shows us where Eel Pie Island is. It's an island in the River Thames. So you've got Richmond to the south. It's just near Ham House. Ham House is great, National Trust property. Do go along if you haven't been. And you've got Twickenham there to the north. And I know it's really tiny, but there are some great annotations on these maps that sort of give us a sense of what a place is like. So there's a hotel. So we heard about the hotel in those newspaper articles. And we've got an electric and steam launch works. And so you've got a river industry going on, and a ferry, and a patch of land that is liable to flood. Hey, we've got a connection. I just seen this pop up from Janet. Long John Baldry attended my school before my time, I might add. Oh, I love that. We've got connections. Great. So our newspapers have some great context. Again, I'm going to go back to the newspapers. You know me, always in the newspapers, but they have some great context about Eel Pie Island, stretching all the way back into the 1800s. But it's from the Birmingham Daily Post in 1964 that we actually learn the origins of the name Eel Pie Island. So apparently, in the 18th century, there was a massive fashion for eels. Eels were really popular, I assume, to eat. So to go along with this particular fashion, in the 1750s, the Chelsea porcelain factory made a tureen cover with a curled up eel modelled on the top. Okay. So the story goes that Eel Pie Island actually gets its name from this 18th century passion for eels. And also from our newspapers that we learn that Eel Pie Island was actually popular as a place of resort long before the jazz club came to the island. So back in 1911, local paper, the Richmond Herald, describes the numerous and increasing number of excursionists making use of Eel Pie Island during the summer season. And London paper, the Daily News, in 1902 relates how the Eel Pie Island is a famous holiday resort for Londoners. So we have this history on Eel Pie Island as being a place of resort for Londoners long before the swinging 60s. And we even stretch back into the 1830s with a piece from the Morning Herald. And this story is quite something. Just briefly give an overview of it, though. So this describes a visit of a Mr. and Mrs. Stibbard, from the borough, so near London Bridge, with their friends Mr. and Mrs. Richards to Eel Pie Island by boat. And the paper describes Eel Pie Island as a fairyland. But the fairy tale wasn't to last. So when the four friends arrived by boat onto the island where they were intending to have a picnic, they were met by the landlord of the hotel or watering house, I suppose, as it would have been then on Eel Pie Island. And essentially, what he does is charge them corkage on the bottles that they've bought. And Mr. Stibbard is not happy with this, and he later takes the landlord to court. And he says that the landlord has assaulted him and caused false imprisonment. So something's escalated here between the corkage and these claims. And yeah, certainly it's an interesting story, but again, we've got this sense of Eel Pie Island being a place of leisure and much beloved. I found this lovely little poem about it from 1902, which calls the island a work of heaven, which I just love. And also we've got Eel Pie Island in our census records too. So by using that optional keyword field on the main census search screen, that enables you to actually search through all of our censuses, so 41 through to 1921, and also the 1939 register. So this is the 1939 register that I've got here, and this shows Fred Rudder. Now, he is a farmer and he's a licensed victualler living at Eel Pie Island Hotel with his wife Mona, and Mona is the hotel manageress. And the couple are in their 30s and they live with other members of the Rudder family, one of whom, Kathleen, is a chambermaid. Perhaps she's working at the hotel. And we've got a hotel porter named George and 4 possible guests living there. Now, we're back in time now to the 1921 census, and we've got John William Elphick being the hotel proprietor at Eel Pie Island, living with his wife Mary. Now, the couple actually employ a manageress and a manager to run the hotel for them, and they're enumerated as servants, and we've got other members of hotel staff there as well. And yeah, we can go back into 1911 too. It's quite tempting to trace this all the way through, but we won't. We'll stop at 1911. So we've got Edwin Stevens. He describes himself as the hotel keeper, and he's a licensed victualler, and he lives at the hotel at Eel Pie Island. And him and his wife Kate, they've got 2 servants living with them. One who's John, and the other is 18-year-old May Jones. And also, aside from the hotel, there were other people on Eel Pie Island, and I just wanted to give you a sense of them as well. So although there was a hotel there was a mix of sort of middle class and working class people living at Eel Pie Island. So at the top, you can see the census return for George Arthur Gardiner. Now, he was working as a boat builder on Eel Pie Island. And he, Ellie's like, did you fall down the rabbit hole? Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. He's working as a boat builder. So we can remember from the map that there was something of a boat building industry on the island. Then we've got William Cleaver. He's a secretary working in the city, so he's commuting backwards and forwards. So you sort of see these genteel villas on Eel Pie Island as well. And then finally, there's the Lilly family. Just a quick shout out to them. They caught my attention. The family there, they're living on a houseboat moored at Eel Pie Island. Right, so I'm back to the beginning of the story, I promise. Thank you for bearing with me. What has Rod got to do with it? Right, so just a quick reminder on the story. My mum cited poor old Rod Stewart at the Eel Pie Island Jazz Club in the mid-1960s before he got famous. Can I substantiate the story, though? That is the question. So sadly, I couldn't find any contemporary newspaper references that coupled Rod Stewart with Eel Pie Island. But this is where I think newspapers are just so useful for this kind of research, right? So searching with the name Rod Stewart in the name field, and then Eel Pie Island in the keywords, I found one particular result from the 1970s that I found super helpful. So newspapers are just so invaluable in this way because they themselves contain these potted histories. So although I can't find mention of an event happening at the time, I've got something here a decade later that is really helpful. So by 1977, Rod Stewart, well established, doing incredibly well, and the Daily Mirror runs a life story about the singer. So we've got pictures of him, you know, from the age of 3 on the beach, and then again age 7 on the beach, and then aged 16. But it's the text of this article that really piqued my interest. Right, so this is where we find the mention of the now infamous Eel Pie Island, who we're very well acquainted with by now, and a tie with my mum's story, right? So we hear from Rod in this article, and he says it wasn't just the music that attracted him to the venue, it was the drinking as well, because apparently he liked to drink back then. And the article says that it was on one typically drunken evening at Eel Pie Island that Rod Stewart's career really began. The piece continues, singing tipsily on the platform at Twickenham station while waiting for the last train. Rod was heard by Long John Baldry. You see Long John pictured there. They don't name people like this anymore. And Long John Baldry was the frontman of the Eel Pie Island regulars, the Hoochie Coochie Men. Again, they don't name people in bands like this anymore. And wonderfully, Long John Baldry remembers the date of this encounter. So it was the evening of January the 5th, 1964. Rod Stewart was singing Smokestack Lightning. He took his phone number, called him, and offered him some gigs. Rod Stewart doesn't remember when he first performed at Eel Pie Island, but Long John Baldry did. And it was on January the 7th, 1964, that Long John had to physically push Rod Stewart on stage to sing because the young man was so terrified. But Long John persevered with him, even though he was asked by people, why do you bother with this guy? He can't sing in tune. So this story is really interesting. So I reckon my mum, she would, it was around this time that she would have seen him. So I've got this date. This is January 1964. So maybe she saw him hanging around the club in late 1963, early 1964, felt sorry for him. Or she saw him performing with Long John Baldry and just felt a bit sorry for him, as sort of comes across in this newspaper article. She wasn't the only one who thought that he wasn't going to go anywhere. So that seems like an opinion at the time. But of course, Rod proved them all wrong and done amazingly. So yeah, an interesting story that we have been able to substantiate using our newspapers. Right, so I can see we have our very special guest of the week, Martin, waiting for us. But just before I hand over to him, and I'm not going to steal any of his thunder, I promise, but something that has really helped me pull this story together and tell it is a wonderful new feature that is coming or has arrived, but I'm not going to spoil it. So let me just take this away, and I'm going to bring in Martin. Martin. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm here.
Welcome.
Bedraggled as usual.
No, very smart. So I will hand over to you for everyone watching at home. Do give us your feedback and pass over any questions, and yeah, we'll do our best to answer any questions. So yeah, Martin, over to you.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Some of you may have seen me before. I've presented on Friday's Lives once or twice in the past, but for those of you who haven't met me, just a little hello to start. I'm Martin. I'm Principal Product Manager over here at Findmypast, and I work in the newspapers group. And a couple of months ago, I came and spoke to you guys about a new product that we launched, which is called Collections, which hopefully some of you have had a chance to have a look at and play with. It's a tool to allow you to take newspaper clippings and group them into themed files, essentially. So what I wanted to talk to you today about is some further developments to that we have put live today, actually. So I'm going to share my screen, and this is where everything falls apart because I'm no good at this kind of stuff. So let's click share screen and click that. We'll select a window or screen. I don't know which one it's going to be. Let's just pick a screen, shall we? 1 second. And if you do that now, the problem I've got is I don't know if you can see. Can you see my screen? You can. That's good. Right, so hopefully you can see my screen. Please, someone yell at me if you can't, because I have you in different windows and it's all a bit weird. Anyway, so collections is a product that up until today, you've known to collect files of newspaper clippings for your own use and thing them together. Today, we have taken that concept and kind of ramped it up somewhat. So I'm hoping that you can see my screen and you can see a collections page. What we've put live there is a series of enhancements, and it's the first of a.
Sorry, Martin, just to interrupt. I think we're seeing you're sharing the wrong screen.
That I did wonder. That's why I was hoping. Okay, let's try and do something different. Yes, you can see that tab, can't you? Okay.
It's tech. Tech is.
I'm going to stop the screen and we're going to try again. Share screen. The problem is it doesn't show me what I'm going to share. Select a window or screen. I want to share. I don't know what one I'm selecting. Let's just try that. No, that's the wrong one.
Yeah, we had a mini you sharing the video.
I apologize. So, can you tell me what you can see now? Can you see
so
a mirror of myself?
Yeah, the same screen. So that is what we're seeing at the moment. And that's better. That looks better.
Can you see my collections tab?
Yes.
Hurrah! Happy days. Okay. I'm so bad at tech. I work for a tech company. I develop tech. Can't use tech. At least. Anyway, so where was I? Collections. So we have enhanced the existing products. So it's the first in a step of a couple of different things that we want to do. But today what we're thinking about is taking the newspaper collections that you could already build for yourself and making those kind of a publishable and consumption experience. So what you can see on your screen here is a new kind of area of the collections websites. On here are public collections. Most of these at the moment, these purple ones, are published by Findmypast, and Findmypast are going to be a publisher of collections content ourselves to allow people to come and browse and find really interesting newspaper content. But we're also going to allow you as users to also publish collections content that you might also want to share with Findmypast users. That content will be only available to registered Findmypast users. It won't be completely public, but it will be possible for you to do so. And so I wanted to talk to you about that today and show you a bit how that works, and also some other changes we've made to enhance the overall collections product, irrespective of whether you want to share them or not. So I'm just going to go through step by step, and then we'll have time for some questions at the end. So the first thing that you will see here is obviously down there's a series of tabs at the top here for all collections, my collections, Findmypast collections, and you can also search for things, search for content that you might be interested in learning about or researching. The idea will be that this becomes a bit of a collaborative research space where if you're interested in the subject, other people who have researched that and pulled newspaper content together in that area, you'll be able to find that, search for that, and learn and research through those. So the All Collections tab contains any public collection, either of your own or other people's. In this case, at the moment, it's primarily Findmypast, and I've just put a couple of things I've worked on just to show you how it looks when someone who isn't Findmypast publishes a collection. So you can browse through them. As you can see here, there's all kinds of different stuff. Each of them, we have the ability to tag collections as well now, so you can tag them by theme, which you can see here. These ones are themed by the royal family. You can see some here which are World War II, some to do with football and sports, other ones to do with weather or news or celebrities and so on. So you'll see at the moment we've got around 50, I think, live. That number will steadily increase, both from Findmypast and also from users who choose to publish. If you go across to the My Collections tab, this is where you can see all of your collections, irrespective of their state of privacy. So whether they're private or whether they're public, you can see them. You can see them here because you're logged in as a user. So you can see I've got 4 public collections, but if we scroll through here, you can see that I've got, I don't know, 50 odd collections that I've been working on for various different things while we've been developing this product. And I can go into any of those and make those private, and I'll show you how in a minute. Or if you just want to look at the Findmypast content, you can do that, or you can do a search. And if you were to do a search for, I don't know, the royal family or just royal, you can do that, and it brings in all the collections. You can see that you can filter it by different types. I don't have any collections tagged with royals, but But if I did, it would appear here, or Findmypast, and you can also search for tags. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. If we go into a collection, I'll click into one of mine because it's a bit easier to show you certain things if it's one of mine. So we'll look at this one about Tony Blair. So if you click inside, not much has changed here, to be honest. Like, this is the same collections view as we put live, I think, back in February time. So you've still got all the same titles. You can still add some description text in here, and you can see that the tag is assigned here, and then you can see all the clippings. There's a few changes that we've made, though, inside to allow you to control and curate your collections a bit better. It's, again, step like 1.5 of where we want to get to, but we think it's an important step forward. So if you go into edit collections, you can obviously do this on your own. You see there's a few things here. One, this is where you can control your privacy. So you can contain it to be only for you, i.e. private, or other Findmypast members. This is where you can add tags. You just enter tags in, and let's just try something, see if it comes up. If there's something which matches it, it will come up here. But if it doesn't, and I'm going to try and think of a word that might not be in a tag. Oh, that is, look. It doesn't, you can just add one. So you can add your own tags. It's an open text field. We're aiming to give people as much flexibility and creativity to create what they want to at any point. And then the other thing that we've also done now is started to allow you to curate. Now, at the moment, it's quite fixed, but you can now choose the order, because up until today, the clippings collections were ordered simply by the order in which they were added, and you couldn't adjust it. So now you can add it and adjust by the dates you've added it to the collection, or by the publication date, which is actually a really useful tool if you're doing chronology. In this case, for the Tony Blair one, I've organized it here by oldest first, so we can start to tell the story of Tony Blair's political career just through newspaper clippings. So starting here, where Tony Blair, entered his first by-election in 1982 and failed miserably, right through to the point in which he won the election in 1997. Other things you might want to tell it the other way and start with the most modern and work backwards. So there's lots of things that you can do there. If we click through to a clipping now, again, the clipping page doesn't look wildly different. There's going to be more changes coming over the next few days because we're still rolling a few things out. But what you can do now, which is new, as well as just view the clipping here, is you can now edit the clipping yourself directly in page. So you can open this up, you can give your clipping a description, for example, and you can't tag a clipping yet, but you can add a description. You can change the title if you choose to. Changing the title does not change the information about when that thing was published. That's contained separately, but you can give it a proper title if you choose. And you can then add it, and you can see now you can add a description or a clipping. So you can give it real context if you want to do something you're publishing, or even for your own research, if you want to add notes in here around kind of why you've made this clipping, or why it's interesting, or why it's noteworthy. You can do that directly in here. The other thing that you can do is you can add directly to a collection in here, or one of your own. But interestingly, if we quickly go back, and let's go and view somebody else's collection. So let's go and view one of Findmypast's collections. Let's look at this one on D-Day, Operation Overlord. So if I'm looking at this collection and I see something which looks interesting to me, and it's like, you know what, I would love that for a collection that I've got. You can now do it. You see the plus button exists here. You can take this, you can add it to a collection, or you can create a new one. So let's just do a Fridays Live collection. I'm going to make this private only for me for now. I won't tag it. So I've created a new collection. I click create. You can see it's added it here. If I click save, what it's going to do now is it's going to make a copy of this clipping. So it's not taking the same clipping, it's taking a copy of it, identical copy, and now putting it in a collection for me. So now you can see I've got a nice Friday Live collection here. You've got a live preview of the image I've just put in there. If I click into that now I've got a copy of that. So I can add it to a new collection like that, or add it to another one. So it allows you to kind of collaboratively share research, allow people to share and learn, and you can add that interesting things that you find in your research needs into your collections. So it becomes like a container. It's the first time we've really built a research platform of any kind outside of our family tree product. And so whilst at the moment it's just newspaper content in here, it allows you to do things separate from family history, from people, because everything in your family tree is tied to a person. This can be on any theme, anywhere you want. So we think there's lots of exciting things in here for people to do. I'll show you how it works when you're actually going through a newspaper search too. So here I've run just a search for a Spitfire, a famous aeroplane, and I've filtered that search by newspapers or publications which I've got lots of images because I'm looking for rich visual stuff. So let's just click an article. Okay, so it's found me an advertisement for Vickers Armstrong here. That's really quite nice. So I'm going to make a clipping of that. And if you've got any questions, by the way, I can't see the chat, so we'll come to that in a minute and we'll come back and answer any questions or anything else you might want to say. So we'll make the clipping. You click clip. Now you can obviously share socially here. You can do copy and pasting of this and take you straight to a clipping page. For me, though, I'm going to add it to a collection. I go to search in my existing collections. You can see I've got lots of collections I can add it to. You can add it to multiple, as you always could before. I'm just going to add it to Friday's Live for now. Click next. Click save. And we've saved it through into the collection. If we go back over here and you just jump out and then jump back in, hopefully now we'll see that there's 2 images in there. So now again, I can go and edit that here, or I can also now share it out directly from this page, either to my Facebook or Twitter, or you can create a URL, which you can then paste anywhere you want. Interestingly, whilst there's no buttons on the actual collections yet, any collection that you own, or in fact any collection that anyone else owns as well, can now be shared socially. So if we let's look at the career of Kenny Dalglish. This is actually a private collection that I haven't published yet, but if it's a public collection, if you just take the URL out of the URL bar here and copy and paste it and then pop it in Facebook, you can now share an entire collection. Users will have to register to view any collection that you share which is yours or another Findmypast user. But for most collections which Findmypast have published, they won't even require a user to register. You can view that completely for free. Not all of them, but most of them. So there's lots of content that you can share out to friends, family, or even to your social channels. If you run Facebook pages, for example, or any groups that are around local history or social history, or groups on Second World War, you can now share content directly to those users beyond just a pure clipping. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you today. I'm going to stop sharing and see if we've got any questions. So I haven't seen anything because can't see the chat, but now I can.
Coming through. One about when will it be live to all Findmypast members?
It's live now. So we put it live to 100% of people around 3 o'clock this afternoon. We ramped it up through the day, so that was the time that everyone should. So if you can't see it, just refresh your screen and it should be there. And anyone registered user can make a collection, but obviously you need a subscription with access to newspapers to get the most value out of it. But then anybody registered or not can view a clippings page. Anyone registered can view a collection which is set to public. And you can control that on an individual level.
Great. Another question, which I think probably answered Martin, about how you make a collection. How do you add to a collection?
Yep.
Going through newspapers and then selecting the clipping tool.
Yes, and you can also create a collection directly from the collections page. I shouldn't have stopped sharing my screen. Apologies, but I wanted to better see you. There's a button in the top right corner called Create. You can create a collection without anything in it. It'll be an empty collection, but you can then set that up, and then as and when you find things, you can just add it directly to that.
I can see some people are already making use on it. Rosie here is started a collection on a specific poisoning case. That sounds fascinating. Martin, you mentioned some stuff coming down the road, some more features. Could you sort of give us a sneak peek of what they might be?
Yeah, so in the very short term, there's some tweaks that we're going to make, and this is over the next few days, to make the navigation around collections a bit easier. So you'll be able to, at the moment, if you go to a collection and you view a clipping, the only way to view the other clippings in the collection is to come back out and then go back into another one. We'll be building in scrolling so that you can scroll between clippings. And also, if a clipping is in multiple collections, in that clippings page, you'll be able to see which collections it belongs to. And link directly through to those. So some small tweaks. We're going to be introducing something called a Discover tab, an extra tab, which will be a lot visually richer and allow you to find new collections and the most popular collections, and you'll be able to bookmark things and stuff. But where it gets really interesting is beyond that, where we start thinking about how the collections product starts to develop beyond just newspapers. Because what we're conscious of as a group within the newspaper and search kind of worlds is providing tools which allow you to research. Like Family Tree is a way of researching that only allows you to research family history. Newspapers, but not only newspapers, but newspapers specifically, massively broadens the scope of what research you can do on Findmypast. It doesn't have to be family history. You might research your village or your town or the history of aviation or as you saw, Tony Blair's career or the career of Kenny Dalglish, all kinds of things you might be interested in. And at the moment, you can do the searching and you can research these things, but there's no repository, there's no platform, there's nowhere to come and park things and work through and stuff. So we're thinking about how that might work beyond newspapers, like what other things might you want to pull into a collection. The collection it's just newspapers, just the first thing which might land in there. So we're looking at expanding the scope of this into something which allows you to start to tell stories independently of the tree and people. It might be stories about people, but using different sources and stuff. So that's where it starts to get really interesting. So keep your eyes peeled, because over the next few months, that's going to start taking shape.
This is great. So I can add all my Eel Pie Island clippings and my census bits and everything into one place.
Absolutely.
So I'll have the complete record on Eel Pie Island. I'm just seeing a few more questions just coming in. Karen is asking, once you have made a collection, if you start with it private, can you then make it public?
At any time, and flip it back. So if for whatever reason you suddenly become uncomfortable sharing it, just pop back into the edit settings in the drawer. So you go into your collection, go to edit, and then flip it back. You can change it whenever you want.
Yeah, cool. And just Jean, if we just have a little help for Jean, how do you get to collections after you've made a clipping and saved into it?
So there's a few routes actually. So if you make a clipping in the newspaper viewer, as soon as you click clip, that clipping is saved into your all clippings file. So the way you get to the entire collections kind of world, in the top level of the Findmypast navigation under newspapers, there's a drop down. There's search newspapers, collections, and then one other option, I forgot what it is. But you click collections. That will take you into the all collections tab. If you go to my collections, the second tab, that shows you all the collections you've created. There may be none, but there also will be a file there called all collections. If you go in there, that's any clipping that you've ever made on anything, irrespective of whether it's added to a file, doesn't matter. Any of those, go into there, you can add it to a collection, or you can create a collection and then you can add it directly in the flow. There's lots of different routes through it.
Would you be able to quickly share your screen on this?
Yes, absolutely. Let's see if we can make this work a second time, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. What's it going to be? Which one? Let's try this one. Click allow. Click that. Do you see my screen?
Yes. There we go. There. It's done.
Okay, so let's go back here. So let's assume we've done a newspaper clipping. So let's take a route through. If starting from scratch, you've done a newspaper search, you found something you're interested in. Let's find this image here. Lovely picture of the Supermarine Spitfire once again. You click this funny looking button here. If you mouse over it, it tells you what it does, create a clipping. This is zoomed in on the word. Zoom back out again. And click the clipping button. Opens up a box. You just drag that box to wherever you want to make it. At the moment, you can only do rectangular boxes. And then you click the clip button. The moment I click this clip button, even though it doesn't look like it, it's saved the clipping. So now that's saved in your all clippings. We'll look at that in a minute. But now it gives you a bunch of options of what you can do with your clippings. Here's your image. You can add it to your tree if you want. You can print it literally as a PDF. You can download the image and it'll download you a JPEG of the image of the clipping. You can share it socially via Facebook, Twitter. You can, if you click this, it'll open your web browser and give you an option to email it. And you can copy and paste the URL. That URL will take you to a clippings page. I'll show you. If we add it here and click that, this is the URL and this is where it takes you to. You can share this with absolutely anybody. It doesn't require any registration. Anybody can come and view this that you share it with. So that's the link which is created when you click the clip. for the purposes of what we're going to do today, if I click Add to Collection, I have two options here. I can search collections, and if I drop that, any collection that I own will appear in this drop-down, not other people's, and you can do a search with it. Or if you don't have any collections or you want to create a new one, just click Create New Collection. Then it asks you to give the name to the collection. So just call it test for now. You can give it a description if you choose. This is where your privacy settings live. So only me or other Findmypast members. I'll make it, in fact, let's say other Findmypast members. We'll actually put it on site. And we'll click Create. Now that's created the collection. You can see it's added here. And I can also add it to other collections if I choose to, but for this case, I won't. Click Next. Now it's asking me about the clipping. So I'm not going to do anything here. I'm going to leave it as what it's called, and I'm not going to give it a description. In fact, no, I am going to give it a description. I'm going to call it. And click Save. Now, any of you guys who have a browser open right now, if you go to the Findmypast and go to the Collections tool, you should now see in the All Collections tab a collection called Test. I can see someone else has made one. That's exciting. That's very exciting. That makes me happy. And so, yeah, I'm super happy about that. You go to Test, and because it's public, you can go now and you can go and view that yourself. It exists as a real thing on site. It's as easy as that. And if you change your mind at any moment and you want to go and, change your mind about whether you want someone to see this because it's not ready, you haven't finished it, or you just, for whatever reason, you change your mind, go to Edit, change Only Me, click Update. And now if we go back to All Collections, it's not there anymore. So it's completely hidden again. Only you can see it. So we hope it's straightforward.
And just a question going back to the chat. How do you find my collections from there?
So you see that at the top here, we've got All Collections, My Collections, Findmypast Collections. So in All Collections, your name is underneath, your username is underneath any collections, and any non-Findmypast collections are a different color. So Findmypast collections are purple, other people's are green. If you wanted to see all your collections, there's a tab here called My Collections. You click that, it just shows you all of your collections. Nobody else can see this, by the way. So don't panic that it's in the navigation up here. If someone else is on the site and they're logged in, their My Collections tab just shows you their collections. So this is all of your collections, irrespective of their privacy settings. So you can see here, I've got lots of collections I've been working on because I've been working on it for ages, and I find it quite a lot of fun. So I also run some Facebook history channels and things, pages that I share things on, and so make lots of fun stuff.
It is a lot of fun. Conscious of the time, this has been so much fun learning all about collections. I think we do have just time for one more question. This is from Karen. Can you add a clipping to more than one collection?
Yeah, I can. Yes. So if we go to All Clipping, let's go to my All Clippings file here. So let's look at this ad for Vauxhall Royales from 1981. I want to add this to some collections. If I click this plus button, it's already in old car and automotive advertising. If I then go and add it into, I don't know, funny old ads and articles and the wonders of modern technology, you just click them, you see they're ticked. If I now close this drop down, you can see that added to here. If I was to save that, it would add that to those collections. You can add as many as you want. I'm not going to because I don't want them in those collections, but they would appear there if I was to do so. And you can do that with any of them. And you can also always remove them. Just do the same thing, edit, and then go in and delete the little green pills underneath, and then click Save.
Amazing, thank you. And sorry, you just stopped sharing your screen. Just for the benefit of Jean.
I'm feeling confident now. I can always reshare.
Yeah, no, just to navigate to the collections. That is by going to the bar at the top, search bar at the top, Jean, and then clicking down into collections. When you click newspapers, is that right?
Let me show you.
Yeah, it's probably just easier for you to show you. Thank you, Martin.
So,
rather than me
newspapers. If you hit the little drop down on newspapers, you get search newspapers, collections, search tips and tricks. Hit the middle one. And take you straight in.
That's grand. Well, I think we are nearly at time. Thank you, Martin, so much. Jean, do feel free to message into support. I think Ellie's popped in the email address there for further support on accessing those collections there. Hopefully we'll be able to help. Martin, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. I can't wait to play around with collections. I mean, I've already got a few, but I think I'm going to be adding many more. So big thank you for joining us today, Martin, and thank you everyone.
Back in again in a couple of months when we've got some more updates.
We love having you. We love knowing all these innovations. The team have just been working so hard to bring these together, and I look forward to hearing all and more about the research platform. It's so exciting. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend and enjoy the sunshine. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.